The moment the finality of a separation settles, a tidal wave of emotion rushes in, threatening to drown the sense of self we thought we knew. This is not just the end of a relationship. It is the shattering of a future, the dismantling of a shared identity, and the confrontation with an emptiness that feels cavernous and cold. Many seek a strategy to get over it, a linear path to erase the pain and return to a previous unburdened state. Yet the work of Dr. David R. Hawkins, particularly in letting go, the pathway of surrender, offers a profoundly different and ultimately more liberating perspective. His mechanism suggests that the suffering is not caused by the external event, the breakup, but by the relentless inner pressure of our own resistance to the feelings the event has triggered. The true pathway to healing is not through fighting the pain, but through surrendering it, one moment and one feeling at a time. This is the ultimate call to be the now, to meet the present pain with the courage of acceptance, allowing the emotional energy to dissipate and resolve itself naturally. When the mind spins with obsessive thoughts, replaying conversations, analyzing faults, or constructing elaborate scenarios of reconciliation, it is merely the ego desperately attempting to control a situation that is fundamentally outside of its grasp. These thoughts are secondary. They are the smoke, while the underlying unprocessed emotion is the fire. The first crucial step, then, in applying Hawkins's method to a breakup is to ignore the narrative and focus solely on the raw, unadulterated sensation of the emotion itself. When a memory hits, don't follow the story of the memory. Instead, immediately locate the physical manifestation of the feeling, the tightness in the throat, the hollow ache in the stomach, the cold, heavy weight on the chest. This is the energy that needs to be released, and the only way to release it is to grant it permission to simply be there. This practice of pure observation, devoid of judgment or resistance, is the beginning of emotional freedom. We must consciously drop the desire to change the feeling, condemn it, or run from it. Resistance is the anchor that keeps the pain locked in the body. When the resistance ceases, the energy of the emotion is allowed to run its natural course and eventually dissipate, much like a thundercloud passing over. The emotional terrain of a breakup is often characterized by a rapid oscillation between the lower, denser states on Hawkins' scale of consciousness. We plunge into grief, a state of profound loss where the world feels colorless and futureless. The temptation is to cling to this grief, using it as proof of the relationship's importance or one's own depth of feeling, but this only perpetuates the suffering. We must surrender the loss itself, accepting that what was is no longer, and allow the heavy energy of sorrow to flow out. Closely following or interwoven with grief is fear, the anxiety of being alone, the terror of an unknown future, and the deeply ingrained fear of being unlovable. This fear manifests as clinginess, desperate attempts to contact the ex, or a frantic need to rush into a new relationship to fill the void. To surrender the fear is to acknowledge the sheer vulnerability of the present moment and choose to trust the universe, or one's own inner strength, rather than demanding immediate security. The next common stop is anger, the resentment, the blame, the moral high ground the ego desperately seeks to occupy. Anger is an attempt to control the unbearable feeling of helplessness, a furious refusal to accept what has happened. Hawkins reminds us that we must surrender the need to be right, the need to punish, and the relentless desire to assign fault. Holding on to blame is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Surrender the anger, and the burden of carrying that toxicity is lifted immediately. A particularly insidious aspect of post-breakup pain is desire or craving. This is not just the desire for the person, it's the attachment to the feelings the relationship provided. The sense of security, the routine, the feeling of being wanted. The ego can become addicted to the drama and intensity of the pain, mistakenly equating it with a profound connection. The ceaseless thoughts are the mind feeding this craving. The surrender mechanism requires us to consciously let go of the desire for the relationship to be different than it is, the wish for the person to return, and the need for external validation. When we genuinely ask ourselves, could I let go of the craving to know what they are doing? And then, would I let this go? we invite a momentary break in the addiction cycle. Each time this choice is made, the energy behind the attachment weakens, and we reclaim a piece of our personal power that was previously invested in the outcome of the other person's life. The continuous practice of letting go, even just for a few seconds when the emotion is strongest, gradually allows the individual to rise out of the draining lower energies and reach the transformative tipping point of courage, level 200 on the scale. Courage is the gateway, where the individual stops viewing themselves as a victim of circumstances and begins to acknowledge their own power to effect change and create a new life. This is where the energy that was once used to suppress or resist the pain becomes available for constructive action. A person operating from the level of courage after a breakup is not immune to sadness, but they choose to take responsibility for their own healing. They begin to set boundaries, pursue dormant goals, and restructure their life based on self-generated will rather than external needs. The focus shifts from what was lost to what can be created now. This is a profound moment of liberation, a clear statement that one's happiness is an inside job, independent of the external world, the ex-partner, or the relationship status. The ultimate destination on the emotional map and the key to true, lasting peace is acceptance, level 350. This state is far beyond mere tolerance or resignation. Acceptance is the deep, peaceful realization that what has happened is exactly what was supposed to happen for the progression of one's own consciousness. It is the understanding that the relationship and its ending served a purpose, a lesson, a catalyst for growth, or a necessary realignment. In acceptance, there is no need to judge the past, the ex-partner, or oneself. The painful events transform in our memory. They are no longer traumas that hold us hostage, but rather integral, meaningful chapters in our personal story. The energy of acceptance is expansive, allowing the individual to look upon the former partner with benign neutrality, free from the heavy emotional investment of anger or desire. The heart is no longer clenched around the idea of what should have been, but open to the potential of what is. This surrender is the recognition of the inherent perfection of the present moment, even one marked by significant change. To fully embody the BeTheNow philosophy in this context, the practice of letting go must become a moment-to-moment commitment. It is not a one-time decision, but a constant, gentle vigilance. Every incoming wave of sorrow, every surge of panic, every flicker of obsessive thought must be met with the same internal response. Acknowledge the feeling, ignore the thought, and surrender the resistance. If a feeling of guilt about perceived past mistakes surfaces, don't follow the mental debate. Simply allow the feeling of guilt to be present, and then, without force, choose to release the energy behind it. If a wave of intense loneliness washes over, don't immediately reach for a distraction. Sit with the loneliness, observe its texture in the body, and surrender the desire for it to go away. It is this consistent non-resistance that allows the vast reservoir of suppressed and repressed emotional energy, accumulated not just from the breakup but from a lifetime, to finally clear. Dr. Hawkins emphasizes that we are not our feelings. We are the silent witness, the pure consciousness that observes the feelings as they come and go. When we practice the mechanism of surrender, the true self emerges from the shadows of emotional turmoil. We realize that the emotional life is simply energy in motion, temporary and impersonal. The heavy, dark emotions of a breakup, grief, fear, anger, are not who we are, but rather energetic blockages that are dissolving. As these energies release, they are naturally replaced by the lighter, higher frequency energies of love, peace, and ultimately joy. This joy is not dependent on circumstances. It is the natural state of being when the obstacles of emotional attachment have been removed. The freedom that comes from surrendering the pain of a separation is not just the freedom to start a new life. It is the ultimate spiritual freedom, the unshakable knowledge that one's inner peace is sovereign and inviolable, regardless of what happens in the external world. The relationship has ended, but the true relationship, the one with the self, has only just begun, built on the solid foundation of surrendered truth. The past is only a story we keep telling ourselves. The healing is here now in the act of simply letting go. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to have you join our community. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next step on your path to emotional freedom. See you in the next video. Take care.